a dream that is bigger than you.
Hi, I'm Stacy Kennedy, registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist, joining you from the Be Well platform, focusing on gratitude. Gratitude is an important topic all year round, but something that is top of mind, especially this month. So, we're going to be focusing on how gratitude and nutrition relate to each other and how that sense of gratitude can benefit you in terms of your healthy eating habits, some of your wellness goals. So, I look forward to talking with you about that tonight. So, we are going to go ahead and get started here. And we're going to do a little exercise tonight. And so, obviously, you didn't prepare ahead of time for that. That's okay. Since you can do this at your convenience, you'll have the ability to just pause, go get something to use. But we'll get into that in just a moment. But we're going to focus, as I mentioned, on mindful nutrition and gratitude. So mindful eating, this is a popular phrase and something that I'm sure many of you have heard of before, but may not be fully familiar with what that means, how to do it, and also why it's even important when you think about your nutrient absorption and optimizing many functions in your body, including metabolism. So, thinking about mindfulness is a beneficial practice for your immune system, for reducing stress hormones, and that's really something that you can learn from a variety of places and resources too. But we're gonna keep this focus on food and how they intersect. So mindfulness is when you're really very focused and aware of your thoughts and your emotions. It doesn't mean that you're controlling them. It's this idea of awareness. And this approach allows, like I said, reduction in sleep. This is what a lot of research and data has been showing for decades. Mindfulness has been a practice for thousands of years, like a very long time. It's part of very strong cultural roots. Can also improve your physical health and really just your overall kind of happiness in terms of relationships and life in general. So, mindful eating really does also enhance your experience of food. And we'll think about some examples. So, think about maybe a special holiday meal where it's very meaningful. And so, you really pay attention to the food you're eating, you really recognize it, you really appreciate it. Same thing, like maybe you've traveled and there's some food that's regional to the area, and you just really maximize that experience of trying this dish or being at a really nice restaurant, and nice, excuse me, in the sense of like, yeah, just great, not necessarily fancy, just whatever that means to you. So we're going to think about how do we bring mindfulness to every meal. And one thing I didn't mention on the slide before that we'll get more into, but I do want to kind of mention, we say like enrich experience food. It really does benefit in terms of digestive symptoms and, as I mentioned earlier, nutrient absorption. And so when we think about what does that mean? So in terms of our physical and chemical digestion, when we think about food, when we see food, we start a digestive process. But when we have chewing happening in our mouth, we have enzymes that kind of start the breakdown of some nutrients, in particular carbohydrates. So then you chew your food very well, gets to your stomach, and then we churn it smaller, have some acid, break it down further, and then onto the small intestine where the nutrient absorption happens. So by eating slowly and chewing your food very, very well, and that eating slowly, stopping, slowing down, being present, that really comes from this idea of mindfulness. This is one way to do that, right? And some people are already slower eaters, so that's excellent. But if this is something that you are tending to be a faster eater, it's really, really helpful. Or if you're having GI symptoms like gas or bloating or diarrhea, it's going to be very helpful to chew your food well, sit down, slow down, and eat. Right? We don't want to be rushing around. We want to minimize distractions, but it's really going to help make your system be able to function optimally at each point in that system's process. So when we do eat quickly, we take in more air, and then that kind of is, makes it more difficult for nutrient absorption. And then also the food is in larger pieces. So by the time it gets, to the part where you need to be absorbing the nutrients, it's still a little bit bigger than ideal. So let's move on and talk a little bit about how we can bring mindfulness to every meal. So number one, I kind of mentioned this, we're going to minimize distractions. So we're turning the TV off sometimes. We're definitely sitting down like every time, and put your phone down. So it's hard, right? But the sit down part, that to me is the one, like more of a non-negotiable. And I think the more often, or give yourself opportunities, or just even some meals, you're going to notice a huge difference. So maybe like breakfast or lunch, or maybe all your meals, certain family dinners, right? We're going to really focus on nature, conversation, and the food being present. So it makes it harder to recognize your body's cues, hunger, fullness, if you're not paying attention. So we're going to pause before you take your first bite. And this is an excellent way to show gratitude. So in this moment, it's an opportunity to express gratitude. And expressing gratitude has been shown to even support the immune system. I guess I got ahead of myself on this one, or I meant to talk about it and then show it to you because it really is that important. And it is. As we mentioned, you've already heard all about this, but it is very important and something that you can change. And yeah, so I would strongly encourage everyone to take a try here. And then putting your fork down between bites, like that is a strategy towards eating slower. It's going to help you with paying attention and noticing all the pleasure that comes from this wonderful food. There are different textures to experience. There are, really nice aromas that are going to awaken your senses, provide you with energy, both in a like calorie point of view and nutrient point of view, but also the smells, the taste, the even like touch of food is going to help bring you into a more relaxed, less stressed state. So it's very important during the day. So when people are very busy at work and you may not have time for lunch, or it gets very delayed, it's so important to take that few minutes to sit down and eat. Even if it can't be like a whole 30 minutes, even if you take 10 minutes uninterrupted, and then you work towards that 30, right? If you have to kind of still finish eating and work, but ideally you're taking some time to go outside or really actually go and get lunch. So it's really important that you focus on meeting that need for yourself. And really honoring your fullness cues. So sometimes it sneaks up on us quickly. The food, this is so true during holiday meals, right? The food tastes so good, or you're distracted and all of a sudden you're over full. You've eaten too much and you can feel uncomfortable. And, it's better to kind of come back for seconds. You want to give yourself full permission always to eat as much as you would like of what you would like. And by doing that and embracing that, knowing that you can have what you want when you want, it takes away that restrictive over fixation and desire. So in this sense, even like figuring out how much to eat at a meal, it can never come from a piece of paper that someone prints out for you. It's like a plan that you can follow. Everybody needs a different amount in the moment. And the skill of getting in touch with yourself and an experience of eating, which is an essential human need that, by the way, all of us were very, very good at when we were babies, and we unlearn this. So this is how we can reconnect and reawaken. You already know, you already have the tools, and it's just gotten muted from how society and culture comes into play. So this is a method for you to slowly take that back. And when you do get cravings, so there's ways nutritionally to help conquer cravings, eating on a certain schedule that works for you to like get ahead of an energy dip, being hydrated. There are many, many strategies. But sometimes when we really think about it, we're not necessarily hungry. And so you may have an urge for something because you may be feeling an emotion, or, which could be boredom, sadness, excitement, whatever it might be. And so, again, you want to give yourself full permission. We're all adults. You should have control over your own body. And so we can think about this as urge surfing. So this is like surf the urge. So if you're feeling cravings, oh, I really like that sweet after dinner, but I'm really not hungry, then you can kind of give yourself a period of time. So say like 20 minutes, and you're going to ride this wave. So you're going to surf the urge, and you're going to give yourself full permission at the end of that time, say like in 20 minutes, to go eat what it is that that you wanted, and reassess your fullness at that time. But a lot of times the time passes and you realize you're very satisfied from your meal. So, and then it's more about the rituals than the item. So it doesn't always have to be food. So if you want that transition moment to like wind down, or go from say like work to like being home, and you might have a glass of wine, what might serve you better most days of the week would be something like herbal tea or another option. And same thing in the evening. If it's like, oh, I like to like have this sweet, as a habit, then perhaps it's like, well, it's unwinding and having that ritual. So, it could be herbal tea, it could be a lot of options, but there might be something else that you can kind of get cozy and kind of have the same experience without necessarily the same item, right? And experiment. But, hey, if you want to eat the piece of chocolate, you should eat the piece of chocolate, right? So it's when you feel like it's not a choice. How are some ways to bring it back? So it does take 20 minutes for your body to recognize you're full. I mean, everybody knows that if you've ever been near a swimming pool, right? But there's a reason for that. It does take about that time. So you can learn like this pacing. Mindful practice is going to help you understand those hunger and fullness cues, and giving yourself permission to eat actual meals. The practice of sort of under eating during the day is going to backfire later at night, or weekends, or in other ways in terms of habits around eating. So now let's actually practice this together. So mindful eating, right? We're being present for the sensation. So we think about taste, even how it feels swallowing, breathing, things that tend to be automatic that we don't need to pay attention to all the time. But there's a benefit to just stop and notice sometimes. And so multitasking when eating can certainly trigger overeating. So this is where you would hit pause and go and get your item. So today I have a grape. So that's what I chose. And so it could be any small piece of food, a raisin, grape, it could be a cracker, right? Think about texture, whatever you would like it to be. Okay, so now we're going to do the practice. So number one is observe. You're going to take a moment to observe the food item that you chose to eat mindfully today. You're going to react as if you've never seen it before. Think about the color, the texture, the smell. So with my grape, it's smooth. This is a red grape, but it's not red all the way around. It's a little bit lighter on the top. It's a little striated as you go down. I don't really notice a smell, but they've been in the fridge. So yeah, and it's small. It's a nice firm grape. So now we're going to go on to sensing. So you're going to actually take some time to put the food in your mouth, but don't bite it. You're going to really examine it in your mouth. Try to do that for 10 seconds. Okay, great. Now, so that I can talk, I took mine out. You can keep yours in or put it back in your mouth. Now it's time to take your first bite. Notice everything that you can about this food. Try to concentrate just on this and really focus on the textures, the flavors. What is it that you're experiencing? And whenever you're ready, swallow that bite of food, bring awareness to the sensation. So that took us, not even too much time. And that is a mindful eating exercise where you can really slow down and experience what you're eating and notice so much more about your food and bring that gratitude in to all of your meals, not just when it's a big holiday or something exceptional happens. Finding the gratitude in the everyday is a wonderful experience. And knowing that there are things that are frustrating or that you may not have gratitude for, but that you can um, really think about the things that you do and the lessons from the ones that not yet. So think about it with the mindful eating. How did you feel after doing this? Did any specific thoughts come to mind? Any memories? What did you notice most about this food item? And then might you apply this exercise at different times, at different meals? You don't have to be all dramatic about it. It's something you can really do on your own or even when you're around others. So, as we think about mindful eating and we focus on being so grateful for all the people in our life, all the food that we have and resource that we have, you want to take care of your mind through self care and be grateful for yourself and all of the hard work that you do and all the attention that you give to others and to yourself. So, focusing on eating healthy foods, on taking these breaks, doing some incidental movement, getting up and walking. Um, maybe you're a perfectionist and that's something that you can start to let go of. But eating healthy foods is going to give you a foundation to be able to access some of these things a little bit more readily. And again, you don't have to, 100% be healthy of what would, be kind of a guideline. It is healthy to have different things when you travel or at a holiday, or healthy to have a favorite food that you include on a regular basis that if you Googled, it may not be healthy according to everyone. I think it's important to really be mindful and focus on you, what works for you. So how do we access the self-care in our life? When we think about um, besides eating healthy foods, like when you're thinking about other rituals you can do to wind down at the end of the day, to de-stress, places where you might be inserting food when you're not hungry, maybe staying off social media, maybe doing some mindful practice. There's some wonderful apps like Insight Timer is one. There's so many. That's a free one, so you can check that out. But there's a lot of different ones. You might listen to songs that make you feel happy, read a book, but like look for non-food rewards and like things that you can also do that are relaxing. So things that are like a flow behavior, like where you sort of forget how much time has passed. Also yoga, so like puzzles or knitting as an example, drawing, coloring. There's so many things. So yeah, working out, lots of stuff you can do. So I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you about mindful eating and also about the importance of gratitude and its connection to nutrition and to food. So wishing you and your loved ones all of the best. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. Have a great time, a great night.